I believe so many small and medium-sized businesses are getting absolutely destroyed by some of the biggest companies in the world. I'm going to cover what they're doing and what you can do about it. I spend most of my time with other Facebook advertisers and small business owners, and I know so many personal, devastating stories of people going bankrupt who have 20-year businesses that just went completely under because of things that feel unfair. Now, this is especially frustrating because small businesses, so many have been forced closed over the last year, while much bigger companies got to stay open, even ones that posed a much greater risk to people. And then on top of that, let's start with what Facebook is doing. They've been sending so many signals that they mainly want to work with much larger corporations, and if you're smaller, even like 10 million a year in spend, they kind of see you as a little gnat that needs to be swatted away. Like, good luck ever getting in contact with them, actually getting useful support. In the fall, Facebook went absolutely nuts, purging all sorts of smaller accounts. Like, I know so many advertisers, and it seemed like 40% of the people I know had their ad accounts banned with no explanation. Some of them never got their accounts back. And sometimes it's based off really stupid artificial intelligence. For example, the word chocolate bar. Anything intelligent would probably know that that is not related to the bar where people go get drinks because it's directly connected with the word chocolate. But it kept flagging that, and it's fine, you submit it for review, humans will approve it, but then it just got stuck in limbo and was just always on pending and actually damaged the account. Now that Facebook isn't telling you what you did wrong, you can have your ad account permanently banned and never realize that it's because AI couldn't figure out the concept of a chocolate bar. You can sometimes reach people on chat, but those are not decision makers who could get things back for your channel. And they have their Facebook ads expert, but they mainly try to get you to spend more money. And I don't know if I've really gotten any helpful info from their ads experts. I have a friend who did work for a larger corporation, and they had an issue, and they were actually able to connect with a decision maker at Facebook and get their account back in like 10 minutes. Whereas most other people, they don't have those connections. Facebook also doesn't allow dating apps on the platform, but if you're a much larger corporation, you can sometimes get special permission where you can advertise, but none of your smaller competitors can. Did you know that inside the like button is this good boy who would love for you to pat his head by clicking the like button? Before I get into all the insanity with Apple, I want to cover what you can do to deal with the Facebook stuff I just talked about. First thing, every single week, I read through the guidelines on what's allowed. They change this often. I just never do anything that I feel like has a decent chance of getting disapproved. So even like, including a link to the homepage and having all the right things in your footer and just not messing with, no swear words, none of that. Getting your account disabled is so stressful, so frustrating, and it could wreck your Facebook advertising. So just do everything imaginable to follow every single rule they have to the letter of their law. Don't put all your eggs in the Facebook basket. It is frustrating because Facebook and Google have a near monopoly on online advertising, and it's really hard to do without them, but I'm gonna give a number of alternatives to look into. Like Taboola, actually getting messages in people's email lists or in people's podcasts or a YouTube channel, like those sponsored things can be really effective, especially if they have the exact same audience. Google Display Ads just takes your ads and puts them on different websites, but you can actually go directly to the website owner, see if you can buy ad space on their website, and sometimes you can actually get a better deal, and you won't have to deal with some of the Google nonsense, and they'll take less of a cut of it. Things like mailed letters may seem old-fashioned, but they still can be highly effective. I will admit, I didn't think the iOS 14 update would be a huge deal. I knew that retargeting would get more difficult and it would be kind of a pain, but I'm seeing it just wreck so many Facebook ad accounts, but it's primarily small businesses that are being the most impacted by this. For me, the Facebook ad reporting is just completely busted and broken. It's so hard to manage things from Ads Manager. All of the rules and conditions that kind of adjusted things I have to turn off, and I have to kind of go into the Shopify store or e-commerce store and track how things are doing there and let that guide the decisions. I'm also using UTM parameters so you can actually track things a little more custom. If you're a much larger corporation, it's much easier to have someone on retainer to set that up, and you can actually use the tool like Wicked where it does it automatically for you. Small businesses also struggle to really generate enough purchases to really optimize the campaign. Lookalike audiences are incredibly valuable and incredibly important, but really they do best when you're getting like 1,000 purchases over 60 days. Well, now it's not tracking as many purchases, and so many people have been opted out, so you can't use them in your pixel lookalike audiences. So that's way less achievable for smaller businesses. And for many people, they were doing lookalikes and now they can't anymore as a result of it. If you're a smaller business, you should be really focusing on getting purchases and leads to help your bottom line, help your business survive. But if you're a much larger corporation, you may want to focus just on brand awareness, almost like a Super Bowl ad or a billboard that has additional data and additional tracking. I actually think it's going to get cheaper to do brand awareness ads because those aren't impacted by iOS 14 in the same way. And I'm already seeing a lot of companies dropping out of Facebook ads because they're no longer profitable. Facebook is an auction where people compete against one another, and if a lot of people are dropping out, that makes it better for the people who stay in. And if you're staying in for brand awareness, that means your costs will go down quite a bit, so it'll actually help you out. Larger corporations also have huge email lists and huge customer lists, so they can just upload those to the platform, retarget those people, create amazing lookalikes, not deal with any of the nonsense. And they also have better systems for actually tracking results. They can use things like Wicked Reports. They're also diversified, where they're spending money on television and billboard, maybe even radio ads. Now, Google is planning to roll out the same thing for Android devices, so up to 80% of people could opt out not to be tracked. So the downsides we're seeing now could go up exponentially when that happens. And I suspect, again, it's mainly going to be small business owners that are going to be hurt. What can you do to help with the iOS 14 update? It's so incredibly important to build out your email list and to ask the question, if my Facebook ads account went away tomorrow, what would I do? I'd recommend setting aside at least 10% of your ad spend testing out new platforms. You could also master getting much better at your existing platforms. So for example, boosting your sales with email marketing. If you have an email list or a customer list with over 1,000 people, you'll definitely want to upload it to the platform because you can target all these people since it is your data. Next, you want to focus on creating insanely good offers, products, and landing pages, because targeting really is not what it used to be. The ad structure and things like that matter a little bit. It's the people who are rigorously testing their offers and who are creating eye-catching, risky, bold, creative ads that are really dominating on the platform. You can still retarget every single person who has clicked a link on Facebook or engaged with your Facebook or Instagram page or watched a certain percent of a video, so definitely still build out those really creative retargeting campaigns. You also may need to redo some of your tests. For one brand, we discovered incredible bids and audiences, and we had to retest all of those because iOS 14 changed it so much. You also want to focus on more targeted landing pages and more targeted copy. So if 3 of your audiences are fitness moms, CrossFitters, and vegans, create a separate landing page for each one of those audiences. There's also a number of things you must get set up, and I created a playlist which goes through each and every one. Once you finish that, you'll be all set, so I'll see you in that playlist.